Park Min-young is playing the charismatic role of the cancer patient Kang Ji-won. Kang Ji-won's body measurements are 29, 24, 33 inches, which clearly tell us that she has pear body shape. Height is 5'4". Let's elevate our style with our charismatic girl, Kang Ji-won. Her body is characterized by large hips, which are wider than the bust and shoulders. Other characteristics include a defined waist and proportionately slim arms and shoulders. Her shoulders are narrower than hips. Small top half as well as small bust. A defined waist thanks to larger hips. Weight gains tend to be first visible around the hips, thighs, and lower midriff. The key is to take attention away from the wider hips and to draw it towards the upper body and defined waist instead. The pear body shape is heavier on the bottom, which creates an imbalance for the upper half of the body. The trick is to create the illusion of volume on the upper body, while emphasizing the waist, and de-emphasizing the lower body, in order to create a balanced silhouette. This can be achieved in two ways. 1. By visually adding more weight to the shoulder and bust area. Focus on structured shoulders to visually widen the shoulder line. Wear bright colors on your upper body. Use eye-catching prints, textures, and details strategically to create interest on top. Wear fitted clothes to accentuate the waist. Layering on your top half creates visual interest and draws the eye upwards. Keep away from boxy tops that hide the waist. 2. De-emphasize hips and thighs to balance them out with the upper body. Wear darker colors on your lower body. Avoid skinny and tight bottoms that emphasize the wide hips. Steer clear of embellished bottoms that draw attention to the lower body. Keep your lower body uncluttered and clean. Avoid details, patterns, pockets on your thigh and hip area and belts on your hips. Let's learn with Kang Ji-won what you should or shouldn't look while purchasing these pieces. At number 1 is top and shirts. To optically widen the shoulder and bust areas of the pear body shape, necklines should be wide. Opt for lower wider necklines such as square, bateau and Sabrina necklines. Off-shoulder necklines add an extra few inches to your upper body. Another excellent way to direct the eye upwards is by adding embellishments. A cowl collar, for example, bulks up the neckline. Big collars, lace trims, and ruffles all add volume to your upper body, thereby balancing it out with the wider hips. Along with necklines, the right style of the sleeves is very important. If the sleeve is short, opt for wide and embellished styles, which will add volume to the upper body. Good options are flutter, bell, and batwing sleeves. For long sleeves, however, the opposite is true. You want to keep the volume around your hips to a minimum. In this case, it is best to let the sleeve taper while at the same time adding volume to the shoulder area. This can be achieved, for instance, through shoulder pads, puff and cap sleeves. While selecting tops, choose styles that will help balance the lower body while emphasizing the pear body shape's defined waist. Bold patterns, details, and embellishments around the bust and shoulders will draw attention to the upper body, and away from the wider hips. Tops should not go beyond the hips as this would make the hips appear even wider. Opt for either cropped tops that finish at the waist or tops that end at the hip line. Tucking your shirt into your bottoms helps to accentuate your curvy body shape. Avoid details, embellishments, and pockets around the hips, which would draw attention to this area. To flatter the pear shape, opt for shorter jumpers that hit just at the hip bones. Avoid long, clingy jumpers that hit right across the hips. A line going across the widest point will make the hips appear even wider. Kang Ji-won opted for jackets that added volume to the bust and shoulder areas while avoiding the hip area altogether, or skimming over it. A cropped jacket will add structure and volume to the shoulder and bust areas while showing off the slim waist. Avoid jacket that ends right at the hip, accentuating that area. Also avoid details, such as pockets, around the hip area and keep this area clean and uncluttered. To play down the lower part of the body, Kang Ji-won opted for coats that hits at the right length. Coats that are too short accentuate the wide hip area, and those that are too long overwhelm the body frame. The best coat length sits right under the hips and mid-thigh. Choose dark colors to make your silhouette appear sleeker and look out for shoulder and bust enhancing details, such as big lapels, wide collars, double-breasted styles, and belts in the waist area. Princess and high waistline coats in an A-line are great, along with fitted waistline and coachman coats also look lovely. Trench coats work great for a pear-shaped body. The belt creates proportion between the shoulders and hips, causing them to look less full. Avoid straight cut and boxy coats, as they will make you look heavy and shapeless. Jeans should be mid to high-rise straight, boot cut, trouser cut or flare. Relaxed fits work best. Kang Ji-won opted for dark denim to avoid drawing attention to the lower body. Avoid skinny trousers that cling to the hips and thighs, which would draw attention to this area. These would attract attention to your lower body and make your upper half look even smaller. Skirts are an excellent way to cover up the wide hips and bottoms of the pear-shaped body. Kang Ji-won opted for skirts with a wider shape at the bottom, which helps to balance out her hips, such as A-line skirts or bias skirts. The right skirt length is knee length. This length helps to stretch the body visually. Like other bottoms, skirts should be mid or high-waisted. Avoid too full skirts and skirts with heavy horizontal details that exaggerate your body shape, such as frilly tiers. Dresses should draw attention to the waist while concealing the lower body. Therefore, Kang Ji-won opted for dresses with a wider shape at the bottom, balancing out the hips. That is because tight-fitting dresses accentuate the hip area, whereas looser fits neatly skim over it. Great dress choices are A-line or X-line dresses. The latter will also balance out the upper body and is therefore excellent for a pear-shaped body. Avoid dresses with a dropped waist, and with a straight cut, which will make you look heavier as it hides your waist. Kang Ji-won opted for shorts that skim nicely over the wider hip area without adding volume to it. High-waisted options are your best friend since they also show off the smaller waist. They should finish in a wider leg to conveniently hide the wider hips. Shorts that are knee-length or that extend past the thickest part of the thighs help elongate the legs. Opt for a darker color to take attention away from the lower body. Avoid bright colors, belt, and super skinny shorts wrapping around the hips and thighs. Facial features and hairstyle of Kang Ji-won. Her face is exquisite, which gracefully tapers towards chin. Prominent cheekbones. Jaw narrower than the cheekbones. Clearly she is having an oval face. The oval-shaped face is very proportional, thus any hairstyle can be slayed. She went through a gorgeous makeover that had our mouths drop. She took off her low-tied long hair and large glasses, instead opting for a face-framing bob haircut and contacts. Her hairstyles mainly revolved around a side parting with her hair grazing the neckline. Her hairstylist made a beautiful wave, right along the apple of her cheeks, which accentuated her gorgeous face. Kang Ji-won opted for a very youthful and soft glam. So let's take few makeup cues from her. At number 1 is puppy eyeliner. Rather than opting for a wing that extends outward, she achieves a charming and doe-eyed effect by tracing the natural curvature of her eyes with a downward drooping line. This approach creates an illusion of round, puppy-like eyes, contributing to a softer and more endearing gaze. Number 2 is match your brows with hair color. Kang Ji-won has a medium brown hair color. Consider using eyeshadow or a specialized brow product to seamlessly blend and coordinate your eyebrows with your chosen hair color. Number 3 is a tinted lip look. Kang Ji-won leans towards lip products that provide a sheer and moisturized finish, like lip tints and balms, enhancing her lips with a subtle yet hydrated appearance. This approach aligns with her overall makeup style, reflecting a commitment to a softer and more understated beauty. Number 4, and the most important one, is blush instead of bronzer. Kang Ji-won steered clear of bronzer for sculpting her face. Instead, she opted for blush, in pinks and corals hues, to highlight and enhance the fullness of her cheeks. This technique not only adds a youthful touch to her appearance but also sets her apart. She delicately applies these hues to both the apples of her cheeks and cheekbones, contributing to a fresh and radiant overall look. This strategic use of blush serves as an alternative to traditional bronzer for a more vibrant and youthful aesthetic. Even though the drama was a roller coaster of emotions, Kang Ji-won left netizens in awe with her charismatic allure.